Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is located in the St. Louis metro community of Arnold, Missouri, and is the world's first single-barrel-only liquor store. This store is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot. Get signed up for their email distribution list to find out when the store will be opening, what their hours will be, and most importantly, what they will have in inventory at abvbarrelshop.com. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebartogo.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. And now, on to the show.
Let's drink!
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you every day of the week. Today on the show, we discuss if bourbon fans are finally figuring out how important pot stills are. My name is McNew. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Miss Beka Sue, along with our special guests, Turner Waltham, Tim Swaya, and Susie Cousins.
Welcome to the show, everybody.
Hey.
What's happening?
So today we've got a very lively bunch here today. Today we're going to be talking about the benefits of a pot still. But before we get to that, Susie said that she's got some small talk for us.
I do, and this is very selfish and personal, but I am getting married in October, and the first thing I did was hire my bartender.
Right.
Fantastic.
So I'm getting married at a friend's house, and it's going to be really small, but I wanted to make sure that that the bar was memorable. So he recommended, he asked, I recommend having 2 cocktails and then, whatever else people want. So one of them is definitely going to be an old fashioned, but I don't know what the second one should be. So do you guys have recommendations for another cocktail that's not an old fashioned that would be good for October?
So, Susie, I have to ask you first. I have an October wedding. What's your date going to be?
The 8th.
The 8th. Mine was the 10th. So
yeah, it could be nice, or it could be crazy hot still because
so I told
Alabama.
You to dress warmly because we did it outside. We had a backyard wedding too. It was outside. I said dress warm. It was 80 freaking degrees that year.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You never. And I live in Indiana. It's supposed to be cold and chilly in Indiana. It's supposed to be fall weather. It was not that year.
Yeah.
But we did a his and hers cocktail.
Oh.
I did one that I liked. He did one that he liked.
Okay.
So I think that's the way to go. So
okay.
So what
were the 2 that you had?
I don't remember.
Oh.
McNew, this was not that long ago.
It was 2 years. It's not even 2 years yet.
Do you at least remember yours?
Do you know who you got married to? What's your husband's name?
My husband is Chris.
Okay. All right. We want to make sure of that.
Yeah, we had 2 cocktails. I think mine was, I wanted a lot of champagne, so I think I did the Kentucky 75 instead of the French 75. That was mine.
That's cool.
And his might have been the old fashioned. I don't remember what his was. Bad life. I don't remember what his was.
Okay.
And there's probably pictures somewhere, but do a his and hers. I think that's the easiest way to go.
Okay.
Tim, what kind of cocktails do you think? What would be supreme?
We just got done with a wedding for our oldest. And one thing I definitely recommend is make sure when you're buying liquor for everybody, make sure you buy from both sides of the family and not exclude one or the other. That's a whole nother side talk for another time. Not recording.
Okay.
My daughter-in-law and son did a his and her type of cocktail. What I would recommend from a fall cocktail, you already got the old fashioned. I was going to say maybe a twist on it. If you're doing the old fashioned, maybe give your guests 2 types of sugars to work with, 2 types of whiskeys to work with, and maybe a couple garnishes, and let them pick and choose the combinations of them all, and see who's got the best one for the night.
Oh,
what combos ends up working for the night. We did that with 3 for a Thanksgiving one time. But I keep on going back to like some type of smash, something fun, something quick, easy to drink, something quick for the bartender to make. That is your muddled blueberries, some maybe I don't like pumpkin puree or anything. You're getting into the fall with pumpkin. Stay away from that. PSL can just find its way to the dodo. But
what about like a cherry
maybe some type of smash?
Is it cherry? Would that be like a cherry smash? Is that a thing?
Even what about peach? A peach smash?
I was gonna say a blackberry smash, but
yeah, blackberry too.
Peaches and blackberries go together.
Yeah, I was gonna say either like a smash, like Tim just said, or I was gonna say a whiskey sour. I say just because I feel like they can be like they're strong, but they're not. I don't feel like they're overly strong. Like
they're
a lot of sweet. They're
not
an
quick
old
turns too for the bartender as well. They're quick turns if they do it right.
Yeah,
Turner.
I knew I asked the right people this.
Yeah. Hey, Turner, what is your what do you think? You're on mute, so we can't hear you, Turner. Turner, we don't hear anything you're saying.
Nothing.
Now we can.
Now we
Gotcha.
can.
Okay. Sorry. I wish I could get remarried and just be Tim's kid. Like, make it easy. Like, I feel like if you can incorporate like lemon in anything, whether it's whiskey or non-whiskey, you'll be okay.
Lemon.
And
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I'll throw in lime if you want, but like if you could do like just a brown derby,
Oh yeah. Okay.
like that's like lemony for the lemony folk, but then mix it up, like just do whatever you need to do for the people that can't handle bourbon, like do
So
it.
you're in Alabama. It'll probably still be hot. You could do like a bee's knees, which is very lemony. That would be a good one too.
Is that gin? What is
It's
that?
gin. It's gin based with lemon. Forget what else is in it. Very simple though. I think
Honey.
it's like 3 ingredients. Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever had a whiskey daisy?
No, what's that?
Ooh, what the fuck is that?
It's whiskey and a bunch of fresh lime juice.
Ooh.
I don't remember what else is in it, but if you look it up, a whiskey daisy,
I'm writing it
it's
down.
actually really good.
Okay.
I'm writing it down right now.
Yeah, when I bartended for a little bit, I was like looking up whiskey cocktails, and I was like, oh, this is like I made it at the bar, and I was like, this is actually delicious, very lemon forward, but you definitely have to have the fresh lemon juice.
Okay.
Like they got to be squeezing that fresh, because I think that anything else would be horrible, but the fresh lemon juice is what like made the whiskey daisy taste delicious. Like I actually forgot about that cocktail until now, and it's
never heard of it. Okay.
really good. Let's look up what the whiskey daisy.
In there.
You're welcome, Rebecca. Whatever you want to do, you're welcome.
Let's see, whiskey daisy. What is in it? Oh God, it's gonna give
Mountain
me
Dew, sugar, and
No.
rum.
For sure. Absolutely.
Edible glitter.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's all those things.
It sounds lovely.
Yeah, whiskey daisy. A
Comes
few of these come
like
up with something that I've never heard of.
Comes with
Yeah, make sure it's
fine.
PG related there, Beka Sue.
Yeah.
Sounds like something you pay extra for in downtown Lexington.
I got the old whiskey daisy that night. It's 2 ounces of whiskey, 1 ounce lemon juice, a 1/4 ounce of simple syrup, and a 1/2 ounce of orange liqueur. And then you
sounds
top it with
good.
some sparkling water, or club soda.
Okay.
love
That sounds really
sparkling
good.
water.
Okay.
But there's a lot of variations to it from what I've seen.
Your Code Red goes well in there, Turner, with that mix. You know?
Code Red.
Yeah.
You might as well go to Taco Bell, get the Baja Blast if you're at it.
No.
If you route this cocktail through Taco Bell, there's so many options.
Sponsored by Taco Bell.
That is sponsored by Taco Bell. You're getting tacos for reception.
Yes.
Little cinnamon, whatever those styrofoam
Oh.
things are.
Yes, those are really good. I do like those.
They are very, very good.
The
Yeah.
styrofoam swirls.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't love those, but to be
Oh,
honest.
they're like the only thing there that I'll eat.
I like
don't
their
like
craggy
Taco Bell?
nachos and their fake
Well, I'm
cheese.
vegetarian, so there's not a whole lot of options for me there.
Bean burrito.
I know.
Come
but
on now.
No.
okay.
No, see, I remember I went to college in San Antonio. It is hard for me to
Well, I
do
mean,
the
you
Taco
don't go
Bell.
to Taco Bell for Mexican food. I mean,
You go for cinnamon twist.
You
Go
go-
because
well, no, you go
drunk
for-
or
it's-
hungover. That's why we go.
that's
to
not
Taco Bell.
Mexican.
Do
Everyone
cinnamon
knows that's
twist
not
and
Mexican
Mountain
food.
Dew. That's what I
Do
do.
you guys not like Taco Bell?
I like Taco Bell, but
Love it.
I'm a Taco
I
Bell
wouldn't say
fan.
love it's a little strong, but
I
yes,
love
I
it,
can
but I
tolerate
definitely
it.
don't go there because I'm like, man, I love Mexican food. 'Cause I do,
Yeah,
but not from there.
I'm very drunk or I'm very hungover, and I only get a quesadilla and 2 orders of nachos with their fake cheese. That's all I ever get. I don't like their other things. That's
I'm
it.
I'm a Doritos Locos Taco Supreme person.
Now you're talking.
Or the
See, we
I also
all
just
have
like the
our
soft shell
like,
Supreme. There's got to
we
be the
don't-
sour cream and tomatoes on that.
One thing only is why we're going to Taco Bell, and it's different for everybody.
I will say there's definitely a different experience of drunk Taco Bell versus drunk White Castle. I fully
No,
support the
God.
drunk Taco Bell. Yes,
The
drunk White Castle I do not
Castle
endorse.
People are horrible humans. You don't do that to other people. Like, I have been with people who, when I was weirdly sober, driving people home from the bar, they're like, let's go to White Castle. I'm like, you're an asshole. You don't do that because you're already going to smell bad. And you're going to put White Castle in your... No, you're a horrible person. We don't do that. No.
Tell
I
Mandy
do not
Kaplan
do White
that.
people.
Tell
No.
Mandy Kaplan. The first time I ever had White Castle was like 2 weeks ago with Mandy Kaplan and Jeff.
No, she did not. She
First
is
time
better.
ever. They
She is
ordered it
better than that.
They
No.
ordered it, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And they're like, "This is White Castle. It's like a 24 pack." And I was like, "Why the fuck do we have a 24 pack of sliders?"
Things that smell terrible. The
And they
whole
said,
house
"Yeah," and they
are
said
smelled bad.
they're delicious. And I was like, I took a bite and I said, "This is trash."
I have never been
And I'm not drunk
disappointed in
enough for
Mandy
this.
Kaplan, and now I am questioning everything.
You should question her.
I
Yeah,
am
for sure.
questioning everything now, Mandy Kaplan. Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah.
It's White Castle. I
White
would have
Castle.
never would have guessed.
So I should not
Only
have
forgiving
White
fact
Castle
there.
cater my wedding then.
No, don't
Yeah,
have
no,
White
don't-
Castle.
Not even the late night snack. I mean, the only saving grace with White Castle is if you get the sliders with cheese. And we know she doesn't like cheese.
She
So
did
she's
it.
truly
They-
just eating grilled onions and sopped in greased bread.
I
Ugh.
think that they did, at least the one I had, I think had cheese on it. Maybe she did like half with, half without. The one I had some cheese on it.
I
but-
will give them a slight credit for their chicken rings. Those were freaking great if they still
Chicken
exist. They
rings?
used to.
You
I
can
haven't
get
been
chicken,
there.
a bag
Chicken
of
rings.
chicken rings.
I
Yeah,
like
you didn't
the
who knew that
permanent
chicken came in
that was
rings.
it for me.
Rings? Chicken
Yes.
rings?
Like, think of an onion ring, but like with crappy chicken nugget meat.
Oh.
No,
They're-
I like fully understand the concept. I just
It comes
don't
out of a
know.
tube.
I don't think they exist anymore. They did like 10 years ago.
No, they're still there.
I don't
Oh,
think I'm ever
well, I don't
gonna go there.
I feel like we should all start drinking because I'm now questioning my Mandy
Yeah.
Kaplan life, and I'm not
Yeah,
good.
let's-
Let's make my
start-
choices in life.
Let's start
Yeah.
drinking. Turner, you've got your mic off, so let's start with you just to see what happens.
Just so your cork pop's gonna be silent anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Drinking, like, what are we? What episode are we on? The same episode?
Yeah, it's our last one. It's a
We're on our last episode, Turner.
Oh shit! I've got a wonderful Knob Creek.
Nice.
Oh.
Nothing.
No sound.
Per
Sound
normal.
of-
Fantastic.
Do it again.
McNew, what do you got?
I have a bucket list. I don't even know who makes this. Somebody in Indiana. Bucket list bourbon. It's at it's 124 approved, so that's how I'm gonna end my night. Nothing though.
There was sound, at least.
Yeah, it's winning currently. I'll go next. I've got, once again, a brand new bottle. This one is Old Blue from Wood Hat Spirits. This is gonna be another cast strength one, another single barrel from the ABV single barrel gift shop in Arnold, Missouri. Make sure to check them out.
And sit in your chair.
Yes.
Oh,
Ooh.
Oh,
there's,
boy.
just call it now. Nobody's gonna beat that.
I think
Someone else
I
has
see
to
a crack in
open
the drywall behind you, Beka Sue. You better check that out.
I was gonna say it sure does sound like St. Louis the way that pops. Pew, pew. Anyways, Susie, you're up next.
I'm going back to to my Neely Spice Cross Buns, which didn't have a great pop before. It doesn't matter. Yeah, nothing.
The guy still got it.
Yeah.
Tim?
All right, so I did a grab bag out of the case of whiskey I brought home from the ABV Barrel Shop's opening weekend, and I conveniently selected a pot distilled rye whiskey from Neely Family Distillery, which I have been dying to try because I have yet. I'm sorry, I did try it at the distiller with you, Beka Sue, but have not tried it out of a bottle yet. So
What is it?
You say it's pot
this
distilled.
one is General Custard,
Oh, that's the rye whiskey.
the rye whiskey.
Yay.
Yes. All right.
Tim has definitely
Did you
had
hear that
some,
cork pop?
No,
Wow.
not a
It
sound.
was amazing.
Nothing.
I hate to say that I have rounded this entire show out, or this entire round, but cheers to me once again. Cheers to Tim
Cheers.
for having some,
Salute.
Tim and Susie for having some Neely stuff. All
That's
right,
good.
when we get back, we will be discussing are people starting to realize that pot distillation has a lot of benefits?
Let's talk about the people who make these shows happen. First up is the ABV Barrel Shop. The ABV Barrel Shop is owned and operated by Steve Akeley and Jim Fosnot in the greater St. Louis area. It is the most unique shopping experience in the world of bourbon, as the ABV Barrel Shop only focuses on single barrels. We aren't open just yet, but our plan is to have the most diverse single barrel offerings from our many friends in the world of bourbon. By signing up for a weekly email, you will know our entire inventory we have on hand. In addition to single barrels, we'll have a tasting bar and a gift shop featuring logo merchandise for both the shop and the ABV network, as well as a full curriculum of bourbon education classes. Additionally, we'll use the gift shop to feature products from our partners in the world of bourbon, companies like Art Eatable Chocolates and Old Man Bay Signs. Head over to ABV Barrel Shop to sign up for our email and text distribution list so you can stay in the know. Hi, this is Steve Akeley, owner of the ABV Network. We're sponsored by the Stave and Thief Society. This is where you, a bourbon enthusiast, can expand your knowledge and emerge a bourbon steward. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification. It's the most comprehensive bourbon certification program available and connects you with an expansive network of bourbon enthusiasts and professionals. Check out the full listing of in-person and online certifications and join the society today by enrolling at staveandthief.com. Okay, let's talk about Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent visits to Kentucky. Today, he's leading the way for young distillers making their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery combines family history, a look at what makes their products unique, and of course a tasting through their whiskeys, moonshines, and creams. Check them out at NeelyFamilyDistillery.com and visit them in Sparta, Kentucky.
This is Jim Fosnot. I'm your bourbon buddy, and you're listening to the Bourbon Daily.
Welcome back to the Bourbon Daily. Today we are discussing pot stills and if the bourbon fans have realized how important it is.
Absolutely. I think that I don't know if people are starting to realize that pot stills are. I personally think, and obviously I would think this because of where I'm at with my husband down at Neely, and we pot distill. I have gotten to benefit from the pot distillation because I don't get massive fucking hangovers anymore.
Yeah.
Because there are cuts made to the still, and I don't even necessarily want to tell everyone how great that is, because then everyone will be drinking it all the time and I'll never be able to find any good pot distilled stuff.
I think you had a very valid point of no longer getting hangovers. Like, so people get surprised. They're like, oh, you drink a lot of bourbon, you drink a lot of whiskey. How do you show up for work every day? I'm like, well, I don't get shit-faced every night, but I do drink a lot during the week. But it's when you're drinking good products that have good cuts, it makes a difference. And bourbon people know this now. I don't think the actual general public know this, but
No.
It makes a huge difference.
And I don't feel like all bourbon people do know this, though.
I know. I feel like maybe we need to have an education moment where we talk
It-
about
it is an
the
education
difference between
Yeah.
pot stilling and column stilling so that people know what they're getting and how it's difficult to produce mass quantities of distillate with a pot still because
I
column
do want to
stills
give
can keep
credit
running.
to some people with like column stills, like Adam Stump, because it's like some kind of weird hybrid monster he created. But he makes good cuts too, which is probably still harder than doing it on a pot still, but it
Yeah, I
can
mean,
happen.
you know, Jason Fruits, I mean, that guy only and Gary Heingartner, I think they they cut it like down very close to just hearts. I mean, to like I think Gary does that too. I say, but just like very, very close down to like the very center of the hearts. But there is a difference in how you feel the next day.
Yeah.
And I have found that out by going over to Bourbon's Bistro and getting absolutely smashed off column distilled products after exclusively drinking my husband's stuff for a whole year. And then I went there and I was dead for 2 days straight. And I was like, what the fuck? I drink all the time. And I've probably been drunker than that numerous times, but this time I wanted to die. Why did I want to die this time? I was like, oh, because everything I had that night was just off of a column still and not off of a pot still.
Well, I have a question though about that, because when you think about a column still, they always talk about what a pure distillate it makes. Like it's up to like what, almost 96%. And so there should be fewer congeners in there, which are the bigger particles that would tend to remain with the heads. That is the stuff that kind of makes you have a hangover. But with the pot still, you have to physically remove that and make those cuts. And one of the things that when you learn how to do that is you can taste and you can smell the difference, and so you know where to make the cut. But but if you're doing a column still, it doesn't happen as much. Yeah. Hey, Royce.
My husband here.
Royce, can you answer my question?
Yes, I need you to repeat your question.
Okay.
We're on a
Okay. So we're having a little education moment. We're talking about column stills versus pot stills. And my question was, so Beka Sue was saying that she tends to get more hungover with a column still product because, you know, it would make sense to me that that's because there's too much of the heads left in that. But when you talk about a column still, they usually say it's a purer distillate. So why is it that there would be more congeners left over in a column still distillate versus a pot still where you're making the cut yourself where the heads and the hearts are?
Yeah, so when you're talking about removing impurities from a run, the pot still is great because it can concentrate them at certain parts of the run, right? So you got the, like you said, the heads, and then truly the hearts, and then truly the tails. There's not a lot of mix over in between of them. There's some, but not a lot of bleed over in between them. So you can then just simply redirect the flow of the spirit into another tank and remove the heads, and then collect the hearts, and then do the same thing for the tails.
Okay.
The column still is different, right? It's a continuous feed all the time. So it's a continuous feed with the steam being injected into it to create a certain temperature, and that's why you're pulling off a consistent product the entire time. Not consistently better, but just consistent overall. It's the same, right? And it has a very solid mixture of both heads and hearts. And you can do a decent job of stripping tails out just off the steam temp, but there's some tails left in it as well. But so you're asking what makes it cleaner then? So because of the way the column still works with the rectification that occurs on the three bubble, most of them at least have three bubble trays at the top, it cleans the spirit up, which means that it's coming off the still, increasing reflux, which increases the purity off the still. So like my pot stills, I can easily bring something off the still at 125 proof. It's a stretch to bring a column off, below 140. That's the average. A lot of them run up in the 150s off of that column still, and it's because there's more rectification with the way that the column still works. So there's more reflux is what's occurring, which, strips more oils and everything else out of it. But it doesn't stop the heads and the hearts from carrying over, if that makes sense.
Okay. So there's more mixing of the heads and the hearts, and you can't really make a clean cut between the two.
There's really, they say they try to bleed off the heads, and there's really no way to make a cut off of a column still. Not on the heads.
It's constantly moving, and
tails, but not on the heads. That's right.
Okay. So my next question, I love this.
So like a pot still produces a much more robust, oily, flavor, right?
Right.
And the column still makes a cleaner product, and it's because those rectification plates cause reflux to happen. So there's multiple distillations occurring in that column at one time.
Okay.
It cleans the spirit up a lot, which comes off the still higher, more similar to like a vodka.
Okay. Can I ask a follow-up question?
Yes.
So when something is pot, like Woodford, for example, says they triple pot still or triple distill theirs in a pot still, what does that do?
Well, so Woodford only they tell you if you go to their website that it's a blend, right? Woodford's a blended bourbon, a blend of column to pot still, and it's probably like 98 to 2%.
Okay.
Right to the pot, because I mean, you can just look at the stills and tell you they can't make enough to supply. Probably not even Kentucky, let alone what Woodford supplies across the world. And I get it, and it all makes sense, and marketing's effective and whatnot. So triple pot distilling cleans the spirit up. It still brings the oils and things like that over off the pot stills, but it cleans it up a little bit more. So single pot distillation is the dirtiest of the pot still runs. Double is much, much more clean. And then triple is even another step cleaner.
Okay. And what do you guys do?
We do a mixture of both, double and triple.
Okay.
Most of ours is triple pot distilled.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Ask Roy, Skippy,
We're getting the oils that we want, but we're still cleaning the spirit up.
What, Turner?
I just, Royce. I mean, you're a knowledgeable distiller.
Allegedly.
How do you integrate the slapping of the electric flask water onto a tongue into the distillation method? Like, you do that like.
I'm out. I'm out on that one. Very important.
Issue rise.
So now we just had the most knowledgeable person tell us.
That was awesome. That was like bringing it was like career day for a minute here. That was so fun.
Yeah, on occasion I do career. I bring my husband to work day.
Yes.
So that I can look cool.
Well, that was really helpful though, because I didn't understand how, when you do a pot still, you can actually physically make those cuts a little bit easier than when you're running the continuous column still and everything kind of blends a little bit more. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah,
We get off topic.
Yeah, the heads actually work great as cleaning products.
Yeah.
They'll kill you, but they work great to sanitize. We sanitize the living hell out of everything with heads. We clean stuff with it. It'll take your nail polish off, actually.
Yeah.
But it'll sanitize.
Is that when it was pandemic time and everybody was selling or giving away sanitizer? Is that what that was?
So that's actually a really good question. Yes and no. There's a point at which there's too much heads in it. And you're getting just straight methanol, and that will give you cancer, and you will, hand cancer and whatever else. Yeah. So that's really bad. And so they actually had a recall on some of the hand sanitizer because it was straight heads that they were putting into it.
Okay.
And so the amount of methanol that was in it, and other than acetane and all the different terrible things that you can have were in a lot of hand sanitizer because people were using just heads. And so yes, there was partial heads in it, but also you can't just do straight heads because you'll get cancer.
Okay.
So that's why they started testing some of it during towards the end of pandemic, and they were like, this needs to be recalled because this is actually very bad. And most of the stuff that was recalled was stuff out of I don't remember hearing any out of the United States. Almost all of it was out of Mexico, of stuff that was too high in chemicals that were very dangerous to the human. Body.
Okay.
So yes, it will sanitize you, but you also could get cancer.
Okay, we don't
It'll
want
clean you out and leave you empty inside, like Drano.
Yeah.
So
Oh God.
we don't want that. But that's why I don't get as horrible hangovers as and what sucks is it's kind of ruined me a little bit, because now if I do drink stuff that has and I've actually started drinking more stuff off of column stills, because when I was exclusively drinking bourbon that Royce had made, I was getting too overly sensitive to stuff that was from a column still, and so I would get terribly sick. So I had trained my body over the years to not get that sick.
Huh.
And I was used to the chemicals that were in it. And then I virtually did a detox by only still drinking every day, but not drinking anyone else's stuff except for Royce's. And I think that's why I was getting even worse, like the worst hangovers I've like ever had in my life, other than like sometimes where I like chugged way too much stuff. but in general, like I would have these like horrible hangovers because I was only drinking stuff that was off column distilled. So now I try to mix in some column distilled. I'm introducing myself to more chemicals again, so that I don't get sick.
Well, I think this goes to like the human body. So like I went a year without eating meat, and then when I did, I got violently sick, and then I just kept doing it, and I was fine. But so if you treat your body like shit, it's gonna be shitty. Like
yeah. It's weird how that works.
Yeah.
But to say it's, I think people are starting to figure out though that column versus pot, I talked to someone over the 4th of July weekend, and he was saying how he doesn't really like bourbon. And I said, well, what bourbon have you had? And he was telling me some, and I said, well, what whiskey he goes, but I like whiskey. And I said, well, what whiskey do you like? He said he likes Jameson. And I said, okay, so you like pot distilled stuff.
Makes sense.
And he looked at me and went, what does that mean? And I said, well, Irish whiskey is generally made on pot stills. I said, so that's probably why you like it, because it's made on pot stills and not made on column stills. And he looked at me like I was nuts. It's someone who I went to high school with, so he just thought I was talking garbage. He didn't really know what to think about it. But
So you brought up the right point, because in all these tastings that we're doing, the virtual tastings, in-person tastings we're doing with range of different people. You have your big Scotch guys and gals on there. You have your big folks up. Anybody who's drinking Irish knows what a pot still is, because they understand the category. And then when you start putting it,
But
what's that?
I said I don't think the drinkers always know that it's pot still. They're just like, oh, I like Irish whiskey.
they know they like it, but they don't know why.
Like it. I don't think they know why they like it.
If they're drinking stuff other than Jameson, it'll state on their pot stills. So
Okay.
they'll read the label. They'll see enough to see on the label, but they don't understand what that means, though. To your point, they don't understand the science behind it. It's less reflux that creates a more pure syrupy spirit. You have more flavor in there versus your column still products. I was just thinking about, we just came back from a couple different hotels over the weekend and I can't tell you if I saw one pot still product on the shelf for that bartender to choose from outside of Jameson. That was it.
I don't think that you would, other than scotches, and because scotch is also made on pot stills.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
But other than like scotch and Irish whiskey, for the most part, I don't think that most American consumers do drink a lot of pot distilled stuff, unless they're in Colorado, where there's a lot of pot stills at. And there's a lot, just throughout the country, there's pot stills all over the place. But I just don't think that everyone does know. So really, what's the entire name of this discussion is the public finally figuring out the benefits of pot stills? No, I don't think that the general public.
I don't think the general. I think bourbon drinkers. I think whiskey fans. Yes. I don't think the general public, drinkers, bar goers, consumers. I don't think they know yet. I don't think they know.
I don't even know that general bourbon drinkers know. Is that something that has to be stated on the label? How it's made? I don't think so. So like I had to look up, I was like, okay, well, what distilleries are using pot stills versus column? And, I got a handful of names, but, it's not something that is readily accessible. It's like a list of pot stilling distilleries. So maybe we need to start that.
Yes, I don't think that a lot of people know. And also there's just not that many like Kentucky distilleries that do use a pot still anymore.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's, a lot more in like Colorado, and like there's other places as well. I'm sure I'm sure that all over the United States, there's a lot of pot stills. I do not know everyone that is using a pot still, just because I don't know.
But they're all generally smaller distilleries, right? Because you can't mass produce.
So much hard, unless they have like the massive ones, like they've got over in Scotland and in Ireland. They have these massive pot stills, and there are some of those. I think up in Minneapolis, there's a few that have some. I think it's Keeper, like I don't remember the name, but I think there's a few up in Minnesota that have some like massive pot stills. But yeah, just not a lot of places use them.
Yeah. And
I think that it is something that more people should know about.
Is it something that should have to be on the label?
I kind of say yes. Like, I think that I know that it won't happen. I think it should happen, but if it would have happened, it would have already happened.
Yeah.
Because if anything, the labels are getting less and less
Informative.
yeah, like what is actually
I
happening.
don't think it has to be. I feel like when it's on a label, it's more of an advertisement. But if it had to be, that would be cool too, because hey, it was distilled in a pot still.
Yeah.
And then I can walk into a store and be like, I won't be hungover tomorrow if I buy this product. That would be nice to know. It would be nice to know. But
yeah, I think it's interesting though, because before this conversation, I knew that there were benefits to the pot still, but I didn't really quite understand why. And I know that there are a lot of companies out there that do kind of tout that they use a column still and they call it, a cleaner distillate, but that's maybe a little bit false advertising.
Also, I feel like labels are all advertising in the legalist sense of advertising. They will never say anything that's illegal because the TTB, right? But they fuck up sometimes. The TTB doesn't always get it right either.
Yeah.
But they just say the most what they can get through. So if they can do an advertisement, I say do it. If you're going to do all pot stills, put that on your label. Why not?
Yeah. Just don't try and lie about it. Maybe.
Yeah.
If you go on into these tours with the craft distillers, you're going to find a lot of hybrid stills.
Yeah.
And what I think folks do is that those tour guides, usually it's the owner or the distiller, will really tout the column still part of the still itself, because that's what looks so ornate and so flashy, and that's what reminds people of going through a large wild turkey, going through any of the large Maker's Mark, the big column stills. They'll tout that, but they're really running a pot still. Yeah, you see all that stuff going. They're really running a pot still until they can run scale to turn the column on. Or they're using the column for their vodkas and their gins or something like that, and they're not using the pot part for the whiskey.
I think that they should be more proud to run a pot still because it takes a lot more effort to run a pot still.
And skill.
It's truly art. Yeah.
It is actual, like you actually, like you're running off of your taste generally. Now you can run a pot still off of just proof wise, but if you're really running it, you're going off of taste. Like you're checking the proof and then you're tasting it. And if it's still not ready at whatever proof it's at 140, and that's generally where you'd start putting it into the tank. If it's not ready yet, you're tasting it, you're still tasting some heads in there, you're going to run it down farther. And so I think it's a bigger skill set to run it on a pot.
Yeah. Plus you got to climb in and clean that thing every once in a while.
I think it's more impressive. Like, well, yes, we do have, the combination, but this is a pot still. Like this is pot still distillate that we are making.
So how do people proud? How does the education piece come in where people start to really appreciate the art?
I think just, I'd say that pot still stuff. I think that a lot of the pot still stuff is still younger age right now in America. Not obviously over. I mean, some of the best stuff in the world is Scottish or is Scotch, right? And like once I think that more stuff in America starts winning awards and it's been made on pot stills, I think that's where people will start realizing that, oh, maybe this is better.
Maybe that does mean something on a label.
Exactly. Maybe we do want to put that on there. Maybe we should make that a bigger part of our tour. Maybe this is something we should push more, that we've pot distilled this and not just like we've like something that we've made like push. Why is it that yours was better? It was made on a pot still.
Yeah.
Switching, since we got Turner on, you're switching to the rum side. I mean, Turner, is most of the stuff you're sourcing, is that all the distillers that you're seeing, is that mostly column stills over in the islands of the different countries, or are you seeing pot stills still in the rum space?
So going back to just the initial conversation, like I don't think that we will ever switch over to okay, here it is. We are part of the 5% of people that give a shit. This is it. This is it. This is all we're ever going to be. Like, we might grow a little bit, but American consumers, they don't fucking care. And so, like, we can switch over to rum, but that, Beka,
still doesn't matter.
You're in Susie's discussion about, can we get more people in on pot still? no one cares.
Fair enough, Turner. Fair enough.
And if you make it worse, no one cares about pot stilled rum. I've had to learn that the hardest of hard ways. No one gives a shit. Like we don't.
Fourth show.
But the American consumer buys spirits like they buy wine. We buy off of labels.
Yeah, you're right.
If you could lie and say every pot stilled rum was made by Weller, Weller's not a distillery, it's a brand. But if you could just say that, you would sell all the pot still rum in America. Nobody cares. We treat spirits like we treat wine. We treat them by labels. And I have fought a knife fight with my partnership over this whole concept. But we're not that fucking important, and nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Oh, so
That
sad.
was the show right there. There it is.
That's
All of that side talk.
That's the
where
show.
it is.
The main thing is no one fucking cares.
I would like to hear some comments back from people on this. Do you care or do you not care?
I care. I love pot beats column 10 times out of 10. Double pot still bourbon is the best made bourbon in the whole world.
But no one cares.
But no one cares.
Why did Wild
It doesn't say
Turkey
Buffalo
switch over
Trace
to
on the
Calm
label.
Still?
Yeah, yeah.
Why is Russell's Reserve now made off of a Calm Still? Still, like, it's pot's the best. It's always going to be the best. And I'm sorry that I got all sensitive.
It got dark. It got dark in here.
It's triggered.
Oh, well,
No, that's
so it's a
Oh,
real.
that's our show.
Yeah.
So where can we find Turner Wathen at other than a pit of doom?
on top of his soapbox. I love it. He's right.
Yeah.
You're right, Turner.
We do a mix of pot column blends, and we do double pot, and we buy some column. You can check us out at rollingforkrum.com, but just go buy Neely shit. Just go to go to Sparta, Kentucky already and buy some fucking Neely double pot.
Yes.
Wood fermented shit that is not made anywhere else in the United fucking States.
There you go.
That's the biggest endorsement we've had in a while from Turner Wathen. We're actually putting that on a t-shirt. Go to fucking Sparta, Kentucky, and get some of the shit there that's fucking great. So, Susie, where can we find you at?
Well, Sparta, Kentucky now, apparently. Drinking solely Neely family products so that I don't have a hangover anymore. And also on Instagram, it sounds like bourbon.
Fantastic. Tim, where can we find you at?
You can find me enjoying all the fucking pot distilled bourbon in the United States here, including Neely family distilleries out of Sparta, Kentucky, on my screened-in porch in the summer, winter, all seasons, does not fucking matter. And we'll drink it all ourselves. You can also find me on the tasting events page at abvnetwork.com and on Instagram at SwyGuy2112.
Fantastic. McNew, where can we find you at?
You can find me having hiccups here. I know Tim will listen and be like, what's happening? It's me having hiccups, Tim. But I don't have those on Instagram. That's McNew, ABV.
All right, and as always, you can find me at Neely Family Distillery making the finest pot distilled products. Not me, someone else is making them. I hardly know what to do other than drink. But you can also find me on Twitter and on Instagram at Miss Beka Sue, 1K, no C's. And also, I want to point out that you can find some very fine pot distilled products at the ABV Barrel Shop in St. Louis, Missouri. Steve and Jim have picked out some incredible single barrels. Lots of them are pot distilled, some are not, but all fantastic single barrels, the only one in the world. McNew, anything else to say before Turner passes out?
Remind our audience to please give us a 5-star review. That includes comments. It helps new people find the show, which is very important to us. And if you like what we're doing, we ask that you please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/the ABV Network.
All right, until next time, everyone. See ya.
See ya.
Peace.
Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Another friend of ours is the Goldstein family at Goldstone Mill. The Goldsteins offer a variety of heritage and heirloom grains to make the finest whiskeys in the world. Plus, they are more than just a grain company. They are truly consultants to make sure the grains they are providing to you or your business meet your highest expectations. Additionally, they work with mills around the country ensuring shipping is as low as possible for their customers. If you're a distillery, brewery, or even doing this at home, Goldstone can assist you. Check them out at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or check in via email at hello@goldstonemill.com. Last but not least is the ABV Barrel Shop. While we don't get to play in the allocated bourbon game because we aren't selling the other products you have to do to get those, we do have access via our friendships in the bourbon industry to some really cool stuff. Have you ever seen your favorite craft distiller selling some really cool limited offerings only in their gift shop? I'm talking things like the hazmat offering Distillery 291 did for their 10th anniversary, or Neely Family Distillery's upcoming Papaw's birthday barrel. They don't have enough of it to send it out to distributors, so they only sell it via their gift shop. Well, companies like Distillery 291 and Neely Family Distillery have agreed to sell us 2 or 3 cases of these offerings moving forward, meaning our store will have the access to some of the rarest whiskeys in the world. Way more difficult to come by than the allocated bourbon offerings with a national release. Yes, they will be extremely tough to come by, but if you're a customer of our store, you'll have a chance to get them. Get signed up for our email or text list over at abvbarrelshop.com so you don't miss out.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.